So Truman was talking earlier about the whole thing about a new Christmas and an old Christmas. Let me get a little bit historian on you. Where that comes from was the switch over from the Julian calendar, which was named after Julius Caesar, which has a whole lot of stories associated with it. But the thing that you have to know about the Julian calendar is that it was inaccurate. It meant that the holidays kept drifting. Every year they would drift just a little bit more and a little bit more. And during the Middle Ages and on into modern times, this was significant because the farmers used the holidays that the church told them when the holidays were going to be. They used that to plant their crops. And so if the calendar was off, sometimes they might plant their seeds in the ground too early, which meant that an early frost would wipe them out, and come next winter, they would all starve. Or the calendar was off the other way and they would plant too late and their crops would not ripen in time before the fall frosts came, and they would all starve. You can see how this is a significant thing. So Pope Gregory, whenever that was the 1400s, 1500s, something like, you can look it up. Pope Gregory was a very scientifically minded fellow, and he got his astronomers and his mathematicians together, and he said, we need a new calendar. So they studied and they came up with a new calendar. And part of that new calendar meant that they reset Christmas from its traditional date of January 6th to December 25th. Also, incidentally, it moved some other significant holiday in the spring from April 1st to sometime in March, which is where the whole custom of April Fools. Because the people that didn't get the news that there was a new calendar, they dressed up in all their nice clothes and they went to town on April 1st, and everybody in town said, oh, there's an April Fool. But I digress. Back to Christmas. So now Christmas was officially December 25th, but the Church of England had broken with the Catholic Church some time before. And the Church of England said, oh no, this new Gregorian calendar, that's just a popish plot. And they refused to adopt the new Gregorian calendar, and so continued in the British Isles and the British colonies to celebrate Christmas on January 6th. Finally, in the 1700s, the English relented and said, Christmas is now going to be December 25th. In the meantime, all those people that now are the ancestors of the hillbillies that lived in the Appalachians had already moved from Ireland and moved out into the inaccessible hills and hollers of Appalachia. And they weren't in touch with the news so much, not having the internet or cell phones or television or really any kind of communication. So as Truman mentioned, in some cases, in some of the little valleys, it wasn't until the 1920s, hundreds of years later, that people got the news. As Truman mentioned, Gene Ritchie's mother read it in a magazine that Christmas was December 25th and not January 6th, as they had been celebrating it for generation after generation. So that's where the phrases New Christmas and Old Christmas come from. In the hills, my mother's people are all from the Ozarks, which are just a migrating colony from the Appalachians. They still, well, I don't know if they still do to this day, but when I was a child, the old folks would talk about Old Christmas, and they would talk about breaking up Christmas, that 12 days of Christmas. Incidentally, that whole song of the 12 days of Christmas, that was invented to help people make the transition from, you can count the number of days between December 25th and January 6th. Guess how many there are. So that song was invented to get the message out. But in the Appalachians and in the Ozarks, they call it breaking up Christmas, and they call it New Christmas and Old Christmas. New Christmas on the 25th of December, Old Christmas on January 6th. And let me just say to you that I heartily endorse the custom of breaking up Christmas. Go to somebody's house every night during those 12 days. Have a potluck. Have a dance. And oh, there's one other custom that I heartily endorse. And it's the custom during the season to give the fiddler a dram. And that's where this song comes from. It's called A Dram for the Fiddler. Now push back the table and roll up the rug. Scatter out some cornmeal and unstop the jug. Here's a dram for the fiddler, a dram for the song. We're breaking up Christmas all night long. Now neighbors and kinfolk and strangers too will dance till old Christmas commence on the new. Here's a dram for the fiddler, a dram for the song. We're breaking up Christmas all night long. Tonight we'll be eating all high on hog with Granny's pecan pie and a big mug of nog. Here's a dram for the fiddler, a dram for the song. We're breaking up Christmas all night long. Now it's hooray Truman and hooray Jane. We're breaking up Christmas all night long. Here's a dram for the fiddler, a dram for the song. We're breaking up Christmas all night long.
Well written, Tim. And well sung too.